Have you ever felt a presence watching over you in a moment of danger? A sudden intuition that saved your life? An inexplicable comfort during profound grief? For thousands of years, across every major religious tradition and countless cultures, humans have attributed such experiences to angels, celestial beings, who serve as messengers between the divine and mortal realms, protectors who guard us from harm, and guides who illuminate our paths through darkness. But here's the question that has puzzled theologians, philosophers, and ordinary believers throughout history. Do angels actually exist? Tonight, we embark on a comprehensive journey through angelology, the study of angels, exploring their origins in ancient civilizations, their central role in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, their elaborate hierarchies and specific functions, famous encounters throughout history, their transformation in art and culture, and what science says about angelic experiences. Whether you're a devoted believer, a curious skeptic, or somewhere in between, whether you're here to learn or simply to drift peacefully into sleep, you're welcome on this exploration of humanity's most enduring connection to the divine. Close your eyes if you wish. Breathe deeply and prepare to journey through millennia of human experience with the celestial. We'll encounter guardian angels and mighty archangels, explore why every major religion developed sophisticated angel beliefs, examine whether modern encounters might be explained by neuroscience or represent genuine spiritual experiences, and ultimately confront what angels mean for us, whether as literal beings, powerful symbols, or some mysterious reality that transcends simple categorization. Let's begin this ascent into the realm of angels, where the boundary between heaven and earth grows thin, and the question of divine presence becomes not just theological but profoundly personal. The concept of angels, beings that exist between the divine and human realms, serving as messengers, guardians, and intermediaries, appears with remarkable consistency across human cultures and throughout recorded history. The English word angel derives from the Greek angelos, meaning messenger, which itself translates the Hebrew malach, also meaning messenger or envoy. This etymological root captures something essential about angelic nature across traditions. They are sent, they carry messages, they bridge the gap between transcendent divinity and earthbound humanity. But what exactly are angels? Different religious traditions answer differently, yet certain patterns emerge. Angels are typically conceived as spiritual beings, incorporeal or capable of taking corporeal form created by God or emerging from divine essence. They possess intelligence exceeding human capacity, power beyond mortal capability, and knowledge of divine mysteries. They exist in hierarchies reflecting their proximity to the divine source and their specific functions. They serve as divine agents, carrying out God's will in the cosmos, appearing to humans at crucial moments, and maintaining cosmic order. Most importantly, they represent divine concern for human welfare, suggesting that the infinite cares about the finite, that heaven remains connected to earth through these celestial intermediaries. Yet the question remains, are angels objectively real entities, existing independently of human belief, or are they powerful, cultural, and psychological constructs through which humans express their experiences of transcendence, protection, and divine communication? This question cannot be settled definitively, as it involves matters of faith, and metaphysics beyond empirical verification. What we can explore is why humans across diverse cultures have so consistently developed elaborate angel beliefs, what these beliefs reveal about human psychology and spirituality, and how to understand the countless reported encounters with angels throughout history. The origins of angel beliefs extend deep into human history, long before the Abrahamic religions that developed the most elaborate angelologies. Ancient Mesopotamian civilizations, Sumer, Akkad, Babylon, Assyria populated their cosmologies with divine messengers and intermediary beings. These weren't angels in the later Judeo-Christian sense, but shared key characteristics. They carried messages between gods and humans. They protected individuals and cities, and they served as agents of divine will. Figures like the Apkallu, sage-like beings who brought civilization's gifts to humanity, or protective spirits like the Shedu and Lamassu that guarded palace gates, demonstrate ancient recognition that the divine realm contained multiple classes of beings with varying roles and powers. Egyptian religion similarly featured winged divine beings and protective spirits, though not precisely equivalent to later angels. The goddess Isis and others appeared with wings symbolizing their ability to move between earthly and celestial realms. Ba spirits represented aspect of the soul that could travel between worlds. Various protective deities watched over individuals and guided them through life and afterlife. These Egyptian concepts contributed to the visual vocabulary later used for angels, particularly the association of wings with celestial beings and the idea of divine protectors watching over humans. The Zoroastrian religion of ancient Persia developed perhaps the most direct precursor to Jewish and Christian angelology. Zoroastrianism, founded by the prophet Zarathustra sometime between 1500 and 1000 BCE, posited cosmic dualism between Ahura Mazda, the good god, and Angra Mainyu, the evil spirit. Ahura Mazda created 6 or 7 Amesha Spentas, holy immortals who served as his primary agents and embodied divine qualities like truth, devotion, and immortality. Below them existed Yazatas, beings worthy of worship, who carried out various divine functions. This elaborate hierarchy of benevolent spiritual beings serving the good God and opposing evil influenced Jewish thought during the Babylonian exile and subsequently shaped Christian and Islamic angelology. Greek philosophy contributed another strand to angel beliefs through the concept of daimons, spirits existing between gods and mortals. For Plato, daimones served as intermediaries, carrying prayers to gods and divine commands to humans. They included both benevolent and neutral spirits, not exclusively evil, as later Christian demonology would construe them. The Neoplatonic philosophy that emerged in late antiquity developed elaborate systems of spiritual hierarchies descending from the one through various levels of being down to the material world. These philosophical frameworks for understanding spiritual intermediaries influenced early Christian theologians as they systematized angel beliefs. Jewish angelology developed gradually over centuries, becoming increasingly elaborate through interaction with Persian and Hellenistic thought. The Hebrew Bible contains numerous angel appearances, though early texts often blur distinctions between angels and God himself. The angel of the Lord, who appears to Abraham, Hagar, Moses, and others, sometimes seems to be God's direct manifestation, other times a distinct messenger. This ambiguity reflects developing theology. Ancient Israelites gradually distinguished between transcendent God and his created messengers as their monotheism became more refined. Specific named angels appear relatively late in biblical tradition. The Book of Daniel, written during the Babylonian exile when Jews encountered Persian angelology, names Michael as Israel's protecting prince and Gabriel as divine messenger. The Book of Tobit, part of the Deuterocanonical scriptures, features the archangel Raphael as guide and healer. By the Second Temple period, Jewish thought had developed elaborate angel hierarchies, functions, and names, preserved in texts like 1 Enoch that described heavenly realms in great detail. Rabbinic Judaism continued developing angelology while maintaining caution about speculation that might compromise monotheism. Angels were created beings, not gods, serving God's purposes without independent agency. They carried divine messages, protected the faithful, executed divine judgment, and maintained cosmic order. Each nation had its guardian angel, as did individuals. Angels praised God continuously in heaven, while also intervening in earthly affairs when commanded. Jewish mysticism, particularly Kabbalah, developed especially elaborate angel lore, including complicated systems of angelic names, functions, and invocations. Christian angelology, built on Jewish foundations, while adding distinctive elements. The New Testament presents angels announcing Jesus' birth to Mary and the shepherds, ministering to Jesus after his temptation, strengthening him in Gethsemane, announcing his resurrection, and appearing throughout the book of Revelation. Early Christians understood angels as witnesses to human salvation drama, interested observers of God's work in human history. Paul's letters reference angelic hierarchies, including thrones, dominions, principalities, and powers, suggesting early Christians inherited and adapted existing Jewish and Hellenistic concepts of spiritual hierarchies. Christian theology systematized angelology most fully during the medieval period, building on hints in scripture and earlier patristic writings. Theologians like Pseudo-Dionysius the Areopagite in the 5th century created detailed hierarchies of 9 angelic choirs arranged in 3 triads. The first triad, Seraphim, Cherubim, and thrones, remained closest to God, contemplating divine glory. The middle triad, dominions, virtues, and powers, governed cosmic order and natural laws. The lowest triad, principalities, archangels, and angels, interacted most directly with human affairs. This elaborate system attempted to understand how infinite God related to finite creation through graduated levels of spiritual being. Thomas Aquinas, the great medieval theologian, devoted extensive treatment to angels in his Summa Theologica, applying Aristotelian philosophy to angel questions. He argued that angels were pure intellects without bodies, though they could assume bodies temporarily. Each angel constituted its own species, not individuals within a species like humans. They possessed free will and immense knowledge, comprehending truth intuitively, rather than through reasoning. They existed in vast numbers, moving instantaneously and serving as God's agents in governing creation. Aquinas' systematic angelology influenced Catholic theology for centuries, establishing frameworks still used today. Islamic angelology shares Jewish and Christian roots while possessing distinctive features. The Quran and Hadith present angels as beings created from light, contrasting with humans created from clay and jinn from smokeless fire. Angels lack free will, serving Allah without possibility of disobedience, though Iblis, usually identified as a jinn rather than angel, represents the exception. Angels carry out Allah's commands perfectly, administering the cosmos and recording human deeds. Several angels receive particular prominence in Islamic tradition. Gabriel, delivered divine revelation to the prophets, most importantly conveying the Quran to Muhammad. Michael, provides sustenance and distributes resources. Israfil will blow the trumpet announcing resurrection and judgment. Azrael serves as angel of death, separating souls from bodies. Munkar and Nakir question the dead in their graves. Recording angels, Kiraman Katibin, track every human action for Judgment Day. This focus on angels' specific administrative functions reflects Islam's emphasis on divine sovereignty and orderly governance of creation. Islamic tradition also describes Hamalat al-Archangels bearing Allah's throne and countless angels who continuously worship, never tiring or disobeying. The night of Laylat al-Qadr sees angels descending to earth with blessings. Angels attend faithful believers, protecting them and recording their worship. Yet, angels remain Allah's servants and creations, never objects of worship themselves, which would constitute shirk, the unforgivable sin of associating partners with Allah. This careful subordination of angels to divine unity distinguishes Islamic from some Christian angelology, where angels sometimes received quasi-divine veneration. The celestial hierarchy, most fully developed in Christian tradition but reflected in Jewish and Islamic thought, organizes angels according to their functions and proximity to God. Understanding this hierarchy reveals how believers imagined divine government of the cosmos and interaction with humanity. The Seraphim, highest order, burn with love for God, their name meaning burning ones. Isaiah's vision describes six-winged seraphim surrounding God's throne, crying, "Holy, holy, holy." They represent direct contemplation of divine glory, completely consumed by God's presence. Cherubim, second highest, serve as guardians of sacred space and bearers of divine glory. In Genesis, cherubim guard Eden's entrance after the expulsion. In Exodus, golden cherubim top the Ark of the Covenant. Ezekiel describes cherubim as complex beings with multiple faces and wings, bearing God's throne chariot. Despite later artistic depictions as cute babies, biblical cherubim were fearsome, powerful beings entrusted with protecting God's holiness from profane contamination. Thrones, third order, represent divine justice and authority. They serve as God's chariot or throne, carrying divine presence and executing divine judgments. Lower orders include dominions who regulate angelic duties, virtues who perform miracles and govern natural laws, and powers who battle evil spiritual forces. These middle orders maintain cosmic order, ensuring creation operates according to divine plan. The lowest triad interacts most with human affairs. Principalities guard nations and institutions. Archangels lead angelic armies and deliver important messages. Common angels serve as messengers and guardians for individuals. This hierarchical organization reflects medieval assumptions about ordered creation, where everything had its proper place in a great chain of being, extending from God through angels to humans to animals to plants to minerals. Specific archangels gained prominence across traditions. Michael, whose name means "who is like God," serves as warrior prince, leader of heavenly armies, protector of Israel, and later the Church, and defeater of Satan. Revelation depicts Michael leading angels against the dragon. Daniel shows Michael protecting Israel from hostile spiritual forces. Catholic tradition celebrates Michael as protector and patron of the faithful. His military role made him patron of soldiers, policemen, and all who fight evil. Gabriel, meaning God is my strength, serves primarily as messenger, announcing crucial divine communications to humanity. Gabriel appeared to Daniel explaining prophetic visions, to Zechariah announcing John the Baptist's birth, to Mary announcing Jesus' conception, and to Muhammad delivering the Quran. Gabriel's messenger function across Judaism, Christianity, and Islam makes him perhaps the most universally recognized angel. Gabriel represents divine willingness to communicate, to break through the barrier, separating infinite from finite, eternal from temporal. Raphael, God heals, appears in the Book of Tobit as guide, protector, and healer. He protects Tobias on his journey, defeats demons, heals Tobit's blindness, and reveals himself as one of 7 angels standing before God's throne. Catholic and Orthodox traditions venerate Raphael as patron of healing, travelers, and happy meetings. His inclusion in artwork and devotion reflects the widespread desire for angelic guidance and protection in daily life. Uriel, God is my light, appears in some traditions as the angel of wisdom and light, though not mentioned in canonical scripture. Various apocryphal texts assign Uriel roles, including warning Noah of the flood and explaining divine mysteries. Orthodox Christianity includes Uriel among principal archangels, while Catholic tradition treated him with more caution. His uncertain status reveals how angel beliefs developed partly through non-canonical sources and popular devotion rather than purely scriptural foundations. The concept of guardian angels, personal angels assigned to protect individuals, became especially prominent in Christianity, though versions exist across traditions. Jesus' reference to children having angels in heaven who behold God's face, combined with passages about angels protecting the faithful, supported belief that each person has a guardian angel watching over them from birth. This belief provided immense comfort, suggesting divine concern extends personally to each individual, that heaven monitors and protects every life, no matter how humble. Guardian angel devotion peaked in Catholic, medieval, and early modern periods. People prayed to their guardian angels for protection, guidance, and intercession with God. Art depicted guardian angels watching over children, travelers, and the dying. Literature featured guardian angels warning of danger or illuminating proper choices. The psychological and spiritual benefits of believing in a personal celestial protector are obvious. Reduced anxiety, increased sense of meaning and care, comfort during hardship, and encouragement toward virtuous behavior, knowing one's angel observes all actions. The concept of fallen angels, angels who rebelled against God and were cast from heaven, represents another crucial dimension of angelology. The primary biblical basis comes from Revelation's vision of war in heaven, where the dragon and his angels battle Michael and his angels, with the dragon cast down to earth. Isaiah's taunt against Babylon's king, describing him as fallen from heaven, O day star, was interpreted as referring to Satan's primordial fall. The Book of Enoch elaborated extensively on angelic fall, describing watchers who lusted after human women, descended to earth, taught forbidden knowledge, and produced Nephilim offspring. Christian tradition developed detailed narratives of Satan's fall through pride, refusing to worship God or serve humanity. 1/3 of angels allegedly followed Satan in rebellion, becoming demons who now tempt humans and oppose divine purposes. This cosmic drama of angelic rebellion provided theological explanation for evil's existence and origin, suggesting that even angels possessing perfect knowledge could choose wrongly through pride and self-will. The fallen angels represented terrifying possibility that proximity to God and full knowledge of divine glory didn't guarantee faithfulness, that free will could choose evil even with perfect understanding of good. Throughout history, countless individuals have reported angelic encounters, experiences interpreted as visits from celestial beings, bringing messages, providing protection, or offering comfort. Biblical narratives establish the template. Angels appear suddenly, often beginning with "fear not," because their presence terrifies. They deliver specific messages, perform miraculous interventions, then depart just as mysteriously. The angel Gabriel's announcement to Mary, angels announcing Jesus' birth to shepherds, angels at Jesus' tomb. These foundational Christian narratives involve sudden supernatural appearances that dramatically alter human understanding and history. Post-biblical history records numerous alleged angelic encounters. Joan of Arc claimed angels and saints guided her mission to save France, giving her specific military instructions and assuring divine support. Her judges condemned this claim as demonic deception, yet her victories suggested genuine divine assistance to her supporters. Teresa of Avila, the great mystic, described an angel piercing her heart with a golden spear, producing pain and ecstasy that left her transformed. Whether literal angelic visitation or mystical experience interpreted through cultural frameworks, Teresa's vision profoundly affected her and generations of spiritual seekers. Modern reported encounters continue. People describe angels pulling them from car accidents, warning them away from danger, appearing as strangers who help in crisis then mysteriously vanish, or manifesting as pure light with overwhelming presence. Near-death experiences frequently include encounters with beings of light, identified as angels. Thousands of anecdotal accounts exist, remarkably consistent despite cultural and religious variations. Sudden appearance, overwhelming presence combining fear and peace, specific help or message, and mysterious departure. Are these reports evidence of actual angels or psychological and cultural phenomena? Believers argue that the consistency across cultures, the specificity of help provided, and the transformative effects suggest genuine spiritual encounters. Skeptics note that angel beliefs prime people to interpret ambiguous experiences through angelic frameworks, that cultural conditioning shapes mystical experiences, and that natural explanations exist for most reported phenomena. The question may not be resolvable empirically, but the persistence and consistency of angel reports across time and culture remains striking regardless of interpretation. Angels have profoundly influenced Western art and culture, particularly during the medieval and Renaissance periods, when Christianity dominated European civilization. Early Christian art depicted angels without wings, as humans in white robes. The addition of wings came later, borrowing from pagan winged victory figures and bird symbolism. By the medieval period, angels possessed elaborate wings, wore flowing robes, and carried symbolic objects, Michael with sword, Gabriel with lily, Raphael with staff and fish. Renaissance art brought angels to peak visual expression. Fra Angelico covered walls with delicate angel paintings radiating divine beauty. Michelangelo painted powerful angels in the Sistine Chapel, muscular beings conveying strength alongside grace. Raphael's Madonna of the Foligno shows angels in dynamic action. These artistic representations shaped how generations imagined angelic appearance and demeanor, creating visual vocabulary that persists today. Literature employed angels for theological exploration and dramatic effect. Dante's Divine Comedy features angels throughout paradise, guiding souls and embodying divine virtues. Milton's Paradise Lost gave Satan and fallen angels unprecedented psychological depth, making them tragic figures as well as villains. The poem's influence meant that rebellious angels became sympathetic characters in Western imagination, not merely evil forces but beings whose pride and defiance could generate pathos alongside condemnation. Modern and contemporary culture continues engaging with angels in diverse ways. Fantasy and science fiction reimagine angels sometimes as aliens, sometimes as metaphysical principles given form, sometimes deconstructed and questioned. Films like It's a Wonderful Life and City of Angels present angels intervening in human lives, earning their wings or experiencing human emotion. Television shows from Touched by an Angel to Supernatural feature angels as central characters, often subverting traditional depictions to explore divine justice, bureaucracy, and moral complexity. New Age spirituality developed its own angel culture, sometimes disconnected from traditional theological frameworks. Angel cards, angel channeling, angel therapy. These practices treat angels as benevolent spiritual guides available to all regardless of religious affiliation. This democratization and de-dogmatization of angels makes them accessible to spiritual but not religious seekers, while concerning traditional believers who see it as trivializing or distorting serious theological concepts. Popular culture's angel obsession reflects enduring human needs that angels address. Desire for protection in dangerous world, longing for guidance amid life's complexities, need to believe in benevolent forces that care about human welfare, and hope that divine reality concerns itself with individual lives. Whether as literal beings or powerful symbols, angels fulfill psychological and spiritual functions that explain their persistent cultural presence. Scientific and skeptical perspectives offer naturalistic explanations for angel experiences, suggesting that what people interpret as angelic encounters might result from psychological and neurological phenomena rather than actual supernatural beings. Sleep paralysis provides one powerful explanation. During sleep paralysis, people wake while their body remains in muscle atonia that normally accompanies REM sleep, unable to move, often feeling pressure on the chest and difficulty breathing. Many experience hallucinations, commonly seeing figures in the room. Depending on cultural context, these are interpreted as demons, aliens, ghosts, or angels. The neurological mechanism is well understood and doesn't require supernatural explanation. Temporal lobe activity can generate religious and spiritual experiences, including sensing presences, seeing visions, and feeling profound meaning. Stimulating temporal lobes electrically or through magnetic fields can induce experiences people describe as spiritual or divine. Some neurologists suggest that historical mystics and prophets might have had temporal lobe epilepsy producing their visions. This doesn't necessarily prove visions were meaningless. Perhaps temporal lobes are where divine encounters occur neurologically, but it demonstrates natural mechanisms that can produce angel-like experiences. Psychological factors also contribute. Extreme stress, grief, and trauma can produce hallucinations and altered states of consciousness. People in crisis who suddenly sense protective presence or see rescuing figure might be experiencing stress-induced hallucinations rather than actual angels. The mind's pattern recognition systems can interpret ambiguous stimuli as meaningful, seeing faces in shadows, hearing messages in noise, finding significance in coincidence. These tendencies, while evolutionarily adaptive, can produce experiences interpreted as supernatural. Cultural conditioning powerfully shapes mystical experiences. Christians see Christian angels and saints. Muslims see Islamic angels. Hindus see Hindu deities. The content of supernatural visions remarkably matches the experience's cultural and religious background, suggesting that neurological or psychological states get interpreted through available cultural frameworks rather than representing objective encounters with specific supernatural beings. This doesn't invalidate the experience's sincerity or importance to experiencers, but questions their interpretation. Yet skeptical explanations have limits. They explain mechanism, but not always meaning. That temporal lobe activity accompanies spiritual experience doesn't prove the experience is merely neural activity, any more than showing that vision involves occipital lobe activity proves external reality doesn't exist. Correlation isn't causation. Perhaps brains are designed to perceive spiritual reality, and temporal lobes are where that perception occurs. Near-death experiences where people report accurate perceptions while clinically dead challenge purely neurological explanations. Angelic encounters that provide specific information the experiencer couldn't have known naturally raise questions. Skeptical frameworks struggle to address fully. The question, do angels really exist, may be less important than what angel beliefs reveal and accomplish. If angels are literal beings, their existence matters tremendously, validating central religious claims and suggesting reality contains spiritual dimensions beyond material detection. If angels are cultural and psychological phenomena, they still matter as powerful expressions of human spirituality, needs, and experiences. The psychological benefits of believing in guardian angels, reduced anxiety, increased sense of meaning, comfort during hardship exist regardless of angels' objective reality. The moral instruction conveyed through angel narratives that divine forces care about justice, that individuals matter to cosmic order. That help is available in desperate times, shapes behavior and culture, whether angels physically exist or not. Perhaps angels exist on a level that transcends simple yes or no questions about physical reality. They inhabit the space between literal and metaphorical, embodying truths that require personification to be fully grasped. They represent the insight that we're not alone, that reality has friendly elements concerned with our well-being. They embody the hope that good ultimately triumphs over evil, that evil forces face more powerful opposition. They manifest the belief that divine reality can communicate with and assist finite humans, that the gap between infinite and finite isn't unbridgeable. Angels might be understood as forms through which humans experience divine care and presence. Whether those forms reflect objective beings or represent the shapes our consciousness gives to genuine but formless spiritual encounters. When someone reports an angel saved them from accident, dismissing this as delusion misses the existential significance. Something protected them, whether angel, unconscious intuition, or chance. The angel interpretation provides meaning, gratitude, and sense of divine providence that purely naturalistic framing lacks. Truth has multiple dimensions: factual, experiential, existential, and angel beliefs engage dimensions that pure materialism cannot. As we drift toward conclusion of this exploration, having journeyed through ancient origins and modern science, through celestial hierarchies and personal experiences, through art and theology and psychology, what can we conclude about angels? They represent one of humanity's most persistent and widespread spiritual concepts, appearing across cultures and throughout history with remarkable consistency. They fulfill deep human needs for protection, guidance, and connection with the divine. They inspire art, literature, and culture of enduring beauty and meaning. They comfort the grieving, encourage the struggling, and remind believers that they're never truly alone. Whether literal beings or powerful symbols, angels point towards something essential in human experience: the intuition that reality contains more than material existence, that benevolent forces exist beyond our full comprehension, that moments of rescue, inspiration, and transcendence reveal dimensions of existence that ordinary consciousness misses. Angels represent the possibility that we're noticed, cared for, and assisted by powers greater than ourselves, yet concerned with our individual welfare. For believers, may these reflections deepen appreciation for the angelic hierarchies that bridge heaven and earth. For skeptics, may they illuminate why angel beliefs persist and what human needs they address. For those uncertain, may they expand understanding of this ancient and enduring aspect of human spirituality. And for all, may the exploration itself provide what angels symbolize: guidance through complexity, protection amid danger, and comfort when needed most. The investigation into angelic hierarchies reveals not just theological speculation, but profound insights into how humans organize their understanding of the divine. When we examine the 9 choirs more closely, we discover that each order represents not merely administrative divisions, but different modes of divine interaction with creation. The complexity of these systems developed independently, yet remarkably similarly, across Judaism, Christianity, and Islam suggests something fundamental about human cognitive architecture and our need to comprehend transcendence through graduated levels of being. The Seraphim, as the highest order, embody love in its purest form. Isaiah's vision presents them as beings so consumed by divine proximity that they literally burn their name, deriving from the Hebrew word for burning ones. These 6-winged beings cover their faces and feet with 4 wings while flying with 2, the covering suggesting that even they, in their exalted state, cannot fully behold or approach God's complete glory without veiling themselves. Their perpetual cry of "Holy, Holy, Holy" represents the Trisagion, a threefold proclamation of divine holiness that resonates through Jewish, Christian, and Islamic liturgical traditions. The Seraphim teach us that the highest knowledge of God produces not pride but humble adoration, not familiarity but reverent awe. But what exactly does holiness mean when proclaimed by beings who exist in direct divine presence? Holiness here signifies not moral perfection alone, but ontological distinctness, God's absolute otherness from creation. The Seraphim's task is to proclaim this fundamental truth, that God transcends all created categories, that no analogy fully captures divine reality, that mystery remains even for those closest to the divine throne. Their burning nature might symbolize how divine love both attracts and overwhelms, how proximity to ultimate reality transforms everything it touches. Fire purifies, illuminates, and consumes all functions attributed to divine presence in mystical literature. The cherubim, second in the hierarchy, serve as guardians and bearers of divine glory. Yet biblical descriptions of cherubim differ radically from later artistic representations. Ezekiel's vision presents cherubim as complex beings with 4 faces: human, lion, ox, and eagle, and 4 wings, moving in any direction without turning, accompanied by wheels covered with eyes. These descriptions suggest creatures embodying multiple aspects of creation: humanity's rationality, the lion's strength and royalty, the ox's service and sacrifice, the eagle's transcendence and vision. The cherubim thus represent creation in its fullness, perfected and eternalized in divine service. Their role as guardians appears immediately after humanity's expulsion from Eden. God stationed cherubim east of the garden, with a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life. This isn't arbitrary punishment, but protective mercy. Fallen humanity, now subject to death, should not access immortality in a corrupted state. The cherubim thus protect not just divine prerogatives but human welfare, preventing a premature eternity of spiritual incompleteness. Later, golden cherubim topped the Ark of the Covenant, their wings forming the mercy seat, where God's presence dwelt among Israel. The cherubim thereby marked sacred space, the intersection of heaven and earth, the place where finite met infinite. Thrones, the 3rd highest order, represent God's justice and authority, described in some visions as great wheels covered with eyes. They serve as God's chariot, the movable throne upon which divine presence travels through creation. The many eyes suggest omniscience, divine justice based on complete knowledge, nothing hidden or overlooked. The wheel symbolism connects to Ezekiel's vision of the divine chariot throne, suggesting that God's justice moves throughout creation, accessible everywhere, rather than confined to one location. The thrones remind us that divine authority doesn't rest on arbitrary power, but on perfect wisdom, complete knowledge, and unwavering righteousness. The middle hierarchy, dominions, virtues, and powers, mediates between pure contemplation of God and active engagement with creation. Dominions regulate angelic duties, assigning tasks and coordinating celestial activities. They represent divine governance, the principle that creation operates according to order rather than chaos. In medieval thought, dominions connected to natural law, the regularities and patterns observable in nature that reflect divine wisdom. They ensure that God's will translates into systematic implementation across the cosmos. Virtues control natural phenomena and perform miracles. They govern the movements of celestial bodies, the changing of seasons, the growth of plants, the animal migrations, all the regular operations of nature that humans observe and depend upon. Yet they also suspend these regularities when divine purposes require it, performing miracles that demonstrate God's sovereignty over the systems he established. The virtues thus embody a paradox. They maintain natural order while transcending it, showing that divine power expresses itself both through consistency and through redemptive interruption of the usual patterns. Powers battle evil spiritual forces, serving as warrior angels who defend cosmic order against demonic disruption. They patrol the boundaries between good and evil, preventing malevolent forces from overwhelming God's good creation. Some traditions identify the powers as particularly understanding evil, having witnessed fallen angels' rebellion and continuing to face demonic opposition. Their military function reminds us that spiritual realities involve conflict, that divine purposes face resistance, that the victory of good over evil requires constant vigilance and engagement, rather than being automatic or assured without effort. The lowest hierarchy, principalities, archangels, and angels, interacts most directly with material creation and human affairs. Principalities watch over nations, cities, and human institutions. They influence political developments, social movements, and cultural transformations, working to align human collective activity with divine purposes. The Book of Daniel refers to angelic princes assigned to different nations: Michael as Israel's protector, unnamed princes associated with Persia and Greece. This suggests that historical events unfold not just through human decisions, but through spiritual conflicts and influences operating at levels beyond ordinary perception. Archangels serve as chief messengers and leaders of angelic hosts, though only Michael receives the title archangel in canonical scripture. Tradition identifies several others: Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. Michael, whose name means "who is like God," leads heavenly armies and protects God's people. His rhetorical name proclaims a truth against Satan's prideful claim to divine status. No one resembles God. No creature equals the Creator. Gabriel announces crucial divine communications prophecies to Daniel: John the Baptist's birth to Zechariah, Jesus' conception to Mary, the Quran to Muhammad. Gabriel's consistent role as messenger suggests that God chooses specific means to communicate specific messages. That revelation comes through particular channels rather than diffuse general impressions. Raphael appears in the Book of Tobit as guide, healer, and protector, introducing himself as one of the 7 angels who stand ready and enter before the glory of the Lord. This reference to 7 angels appears also in Revelation, suggesting a small group of especially prominent angels with direct access to God's throne. Raphael's name means God heals, and his role in Tobit demonstrates divine concern for ordinary human struggles: a young man's journey, a woman's suffering, a father's blindness. Raphael's presence in daily life suggests that divine assistance operates not just in cosmic battles or prophetic revelations, but in mundane challenges and personal griefs. Common angels, the lowest order, serve as messengers and guardians for individuals. These are the angels most frequently encountered in biblical narratives and personal testimonies, appearing to shepherds, announcing Christ's birth, strengthening Jesus in Gethsemane, freeing Peter from prison, directing Philip to encounter the Ethiopian eunuch. Their frequent appearances suggest that divine providence actively engages with historical particulars, that God's care extends to individual circumstances, that heaven monitors and responds to earthly developments. The guardian angel concept deserves special attention. as it has provided immense comfort to believers throughout history. Jesus' reference to children's angels, always seeing the face of my Father in heaven, suggests personal angels assigned to individuals. Church fathers developed this into systematic belief that each person receives a guardian angel at birth who watches over them throughout life, protecting from physical and spiritual dangers, inspiring virtuous choices, and presenting their prayers before God. The comfort this doctrine provides is obvious. Knowing that a powerful, wise, benevolent being personally attends to one's welfare reduces existential isolation and anxiety. Psychological research confirms that guardian angel beliefs correlate with reduced anxiety, increased sense of meaning, and greater resilience during hardship. Whether this psychological benefit proves guardian angels exist or merely demonstrates religion's adaptive value remains contested. Believers argue that God designed religion to provide these benefits precisely because angels actually exist and protect us. Skeptics suggest that evolution selected for religious beliefs because they provided survival advantages through reducing stress and promoting cooperation. Regardless of supernatural truth, the concept of fallen angels introduces a darker dimension to angelology. Christian tradition, drawing on fragments of biblical text and apocryphal elaboration, developed extensive narratives about angelic rebellion. The most complete biblical account appears in Revelation. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. This cosmic conflict precedes human history, suggesting that evil originated not with humanity but with beings possessing greater knowledge and power than humans. Why would angels, existing in divine presence with full knowledge of God's nature and purposes, rebel? Traditional explanations focus on pride, Satan, and his followers refusing to worship God alone or to serve humanity, whom they regarded as inferior. Satan's prideful claim, "I will be like the Most High," represents the fundamental sin. The creature asserting equality with the Creator, rejecting dependent status, demanding autonomous authority. That beings with perfect knowledge could still choose wrongly through pride remains perhaps the most troubling aspect of fallen angel narratives. It suggests that knowledge doesn't guarantee virtue, that free will can choose evil, even with perfect understanding of good. The fallen angels' continuing activity raises further questions. Traditional Christianity holds that demons, fallen angels, now tempt humans, possesses people, cause illness and misfortune, and oppose God's work in the world. This worldview, dominant for centuries, explained evil as resulting from malevolent supernatural activity rather than human nature alone. Modern people often dismiss this view as primitive superstition, yet many cultures maintain robust beliefs in evil spiritual forces. Exorcism remains an official practice in Catholic and Orthodox churches. Charismatic Christians regularly speak of spiritual warfare, and indigenous religions worldwide recognize malevolent spirits. Are demons real entities or projections of internal psychological states? This question parallels the larger question about angels generally. Believers argue that the consistency of demonic manifestations across cultures, the knowledge displayed by possessed individuals beyond their own experience, and the effectiveness of religious deliverance rituals suggest real supernatural evil. Skeptics note that possession symptoms match dissociative disorders, that alleged demonic knowledge often proves explicable naturally, and that ritual effectiveness might result from psychological suggestion rather than expelling actual entities. Throughout history, individuals have reported encounters with angels that profoundly affected their lives and often altered historical trajectories. The biblical narratives establish templates that later encounters follow remarkably consistently. Sudden appearance, initial fear, reassuring words, specific message, or help, mysterious departure. Angels in Scripture rarely appear casually or for trivial purposes. They announce births of prophets and saviors, guide refugees to safety, shut lions' mouths, roll away tombstones, break chains to free prisoners. Their interventions occur at crucial moments when natural means prove insufficient, when divine purposes require supernatural assistance. Post-biblical history records numerous alleged angelic encounters. Constantine's vision of the cross before battle, Augustine's garden revelation, Francis of Assisi's seraph imprinting the stigmata, Joan of Arc's heavenly voices directing French military strategy, Teresa of Avila's angel piercing her heart. These famous mystical experiences shaped Christian history and spirituality. Whether these represent actual angels, psychological phenomena, or some combination remains debated. What's undeniable is their profound effect on the experiences and subsequent generations. Modern angel encounters continue being reported with surprising frequency. Common patterns emerge, angels appearing as ordinary humans who provide crucial help, then mysteriously vanish. Protective interventions where people sense invisible hands pulling them from danger. Beings of light appearing to the dying or during near-death experiences. Voices warning of danger or providing guidance at critical moments. A 2016 Pew Research study found that roughly 72% of Americans believe in angels, with many reporting personal experiences. Consider documented contemporary accounts. A woman's car stalls on railroad tracks with a train approaching. A stranger appears from nowhere, lifts her car off the tracks, then vanishes before she can thank him. A child wanders into deep water. A man in old-fashioned clothes pulls him to safety, but witnesses confirm no one else was present. A nurse appears in a hospital room during medical crisis, provides critical intervention, yet no such nurse works at the hospital, and security footage shows no one entering the room. These accounts, numbering in thousands, share remarkable consistency. Intervention in genuine danger, mysterious helper who appears and vanishes impossibly, transformative effect on the experiencer's worldview. Skeptics offer naturalistic explanations. Misidentification of ordinary people whose departure wasn't noticed in the confusion. Stress-induced hallucinations. Confabulated memories where details get added unconsciously over time. Coincidences interpreted through religious frameworks that prime people to see angels. These explanations account for many cases. Yet some reported encounters include details that challenge purely naturalistic accounts. Helpers displaying knowledge they shouldn't possess. Physical effects that require actual presence. Multiple witnesses corroborating impossible elements. The near-death experience phenomenon deserves particular attention in angel discussions. Thousands of people report experiences during clinical death that include encountering beings of light, identified as angels. These beings typically radiate love, communicate telepathically, review the person's life without judgment, and send them back with messages about life's meaning and purpose. The consistency of these reports across cultures, the transformed lives that result, and the veridical perceptions some experiencers report accurately describing details of their resuscitation from positions they couldn't physically occupy, challenge reductive explanations. Neuroscientists propose various mechanisms for near-death experiences: oxygen deprivation, carbon dioxide buildup, endorphin release, dying brain activity, producing final hallucinations. These mechanisms might explain some phenomenology: the tunnel, bright light, peace, life review. Yet they struggle to explain veridical perceptions where clinically dead people accurately report events in other rooms or conversations they couldn't naturally know. They also don't explain the dramatic personality changes and spiritual transformations that persist for decades after the experience. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of angel encounters is their violation of normal epistemology. If someone claims to have seen a bird, we evaluate their claim through ordinary evidential standards. Were they in a position to see? Are they reliable observers? Did others see it too? Do photos exist? But angels, if real, don't operate according to natural laws. They appear and vanish, transcend physical constraints, interact selectively. This makes angel encounters inherently difficult to verify or falsify through scientific methods designed for natural phenomena. The role of expectation and cultural conditioning in shaping mystical experiences deserves serious consideration. Christians see Christian angels and saints. Muslims see Islamic angels. Hindus see Hindu deities. Buddhists see bodhisattvas. The content of supernatural visions remarkably matches the experiencer's cultural religious background. This suggests that whatever actual experience occurs gets interpreted through available conceptual frameworks. A medieval Christian encountering unexplained light interprets it through their angel framework. A modern secular person might interpret the same experience as aliens or unknown natural phenomena. Yet cultural conditioning doesn't necessarily disprove the experience's validity. Perhaps different traditions represent different but partially accurate descriptions of the same underlying spiritual realities, like different languages describing the same object. Perhaps God or ultimate reality communicates through forms comprehensible to each culture, using their existing conceptual vocabulary. Perhaps consciousness naturally interprets transcendent experiences through culturally available symbols because humans require concrete forms to grasp abstract spiritual truths. The neuroscientific perspective on angel experiences, particularly work on temporal lobe involvement in mystical experiences, deserves deeper examination. Research has shown that the temporal lobes contain structures associated with emotion, memory, and sense of self. Some individuals with temporal lobe epilepsy report intense religious experiences during or after seizures, sensed presences, divine communications, cosmic significance, unity with the universe. Neuroscientist Michael Persinger famously developed a device stimulating temporal lobes with weak electromagnetic fields, claiming it induced mystical experiences in laboratory subjects. This research suggests that mystical experiences, including angel encounters, might result from temporal lobe activity rather than actual supernatural beings. The hypothesis proposes that certain brain states, whether triggered by seizures, meditation, sensory deprivation, stress, or electromagnetic stimulation, produce experiences people interpret as divine encounters. The evolutionary advantage of such experiences might be bonding communities through shared religious beliefs, or providing comfort during existential crises. Yet this neuroscientific approach faces significant philosophical and empirical challenges. First, correlation doesn't prove causation. That temporal lobe activity accompanies spiritual experiences doesn't prove the experiences are merely brain activity, any more than visual cortex activity during sight proves external objects don't exist. Perhaps temporal lobes are where spiritual perception occurs neurologically, designed to register transcendent realities, just as visual cortex registers physical light. The brain mechanism and genuine spiritual encounter aren't mutually exclusive. Second, Persinger's God helmet results haven't replicated consistently. Other researchers using similar equipment failed to produce comparable effects, suggesting that initial positive results might have involved suggestion and expectation rather than direct electromagnetic induction of mystical states. More rigorous studies with proper controls found minimal effects. Third, the complexity and meaningfulness of reported angel encounters often exceeds what epileptic hallucinations typically produce. Temporal lobe seizures generally cause brief, primitive sensations, flashing lights, simple sounds, vague emotions. They don't usually produce elaborate, coherent visions with specific messages that prove accurate or helpful. When someone reports an angel providing detailed guidance that subsequently proves correct or warns of specific danger later confirmed, simple seizure activity seems inadequate explanation. Fourth, some mystical experiences occur in ways difficult to attribute to temporal lobe activity. The veridical perceptions during near-death experiences where people report accurate details while clinically dead and brain activity has ceased to challenge brain-based explanations. Shared mystical experiences where multiple people simultaneously witness the same anomalous event can't be reduced to individual neurology. The sleep paralysis explanation for some angel and demon encounters deserves mention. During sleep paralysis, people wake while their body remains in the muscle atonia that normally prevents acting out dreams, unable to move, often feeling pressure on the chest and difficulty breathing. Many experience terrifying hallucinations, commonly sensing presences, seeing figures, feeling attacked. Depending on cultural context, these get interpreted as demons, aliens, ghosts, or spiritual attacks. Sleep paralysis clearly explains some reported supernatural encounters. The neurological mechanism is well understood, involving disrupted transitions between sleep stages. The hallucinations result from dream mentation, intruding into waking consciousness while the body remains paralyzed. Cultural conditioning shapes specific content. Medieval Christians saw demons or incubi. Modern Westerners report alien abductions. Traditional cultures see culturally specific spirits. Yet not all angel or demon encounters occur during sleep paralysis. Many happen during full waking consciousness, sometimes witnessed by multiple people, often involving physical effects or information the experiencer couldn't know naturally. While sleep paralysis accounts for an important subset of reported spiritual attacks or nocturnal encounters, it doesn't explain the full range of alleged angelic interactions. The psychological functions of angel beliefs require consideration when evaluating existence claims. Guardian angel beliefs provide multiple psychological benefits: reduced anxiety through feeling protected, increased sense of meaning and purpose, comfort during grief and hardship, encouragement toward virtuous behavior. Knowing one's angel observes These benefits exist regardless of whether angels actually exist. The belief itself produces the psychological effects. From an evolutionary perspective, beliefs producing survival advantages would be selected for, even if factually false. If believing in protective spirits reduced stress, promoted cooperation, and encouraged beneficial behaviors, evolution would favor such beliefs, whether or not spirits exist. This doesn't prove angels don't exist, but it does mean that angel beliefs' universality and persistence could result from their adaptive value rather than their truth. Yet this cuts both ways. If God exists and created humans, why wouldn't he design us with cognitive structures receptive to spiritual realities, including angels? Perhaps we're naturally disposed toward angel beliefs precisely because angels exist and God wants us aware of them. The fact that a belief provides psychological comfort doesn't make it false. Maybe reality is such that true beliefs often also prove comforting. The adaptive advantage of religion might come not from useful delusions but from accurate perceptions of spiritual realities that genuinely help us navigate existence. The question, do angels really exist, may be unanswerable through empirical methods. Science excels at investigating natural phenomena, operating according to consistent laws. But angels, if real, are supernatural entities not bound by natural laws, appearing and acting according to divine purposes rather than predictable patterns. This makes them inherently resistant to scientific verification or falsification. Some argue this makes angel claims unfalsifiable and therefore meaningless by scientific standards. If no possible evidence could disprove angels, if every failed angel encounter can be explained by angels chose not to appear, then angel belief becomes immune to rational evaluation. By this logic, angel claims can't be taken seriously as factual assertions about reality. Yet this objection applies equally to many historical and personal knowledge claims that we nevertheless accept. Historical events happen once under unique circumstances and can't be replicated in laboratories, yet we rationally believe many historical claims based on testimony and evidence. Personal experiences, what it's like to fall in love, taste chocolate, or witness a sunset can't be fully verified by others, yet we reasonably accept people's reports of their experiences. Perhaps angel encounters fall into this category of non-repeatable, personally verified experiences that resist third-person verification, yet deserve rational credence based on witness testimony. The ultimate question may be what explanatory framework best accounts for the full range of relevant data. The universality of angel beliefs across cultures and throughout history. The consistency of reported encounters despite cultural differences. The transformative effects on experiences. The occasional inclusion of verifiable elements in encounter reports. The psychological and social functions angel beliefs serve, and the spiritual experiences billions of humans report having. Does supernaturalism better explain this data than naturalism? Naturalistic explanations can account for much. Psychological needs driving beliefs, cultural conditioning, shaping experiences, neurological mechanisms producing mystical states, evolutionary advantages of religious beliefs, cognitive biases leading to pattern seeing and agent detection. Yet they struggle with certain elements, veridical perceptions during near-death experiences, multiple witness angel encounters, specific accurate information provided in visions, dramatic personal transformations following encounters, Supernatural explanations readily account for these difficult elements but raise their own questions. Why don't angels appear more consistently? Why does God use such ambiguous means of communication? Why do angel experiences often align so conveniently with cultural expectations? Why doesn't God provide clearer evidence if he wants people to believe? Perhaps the answer lies beyond simple either-or dichotomies. Maybe reality contains dimensions that resist categorization as purely natural or supernatural, purely objective or subjective, purely physical or spiritual. Maybe consciousness and its experiences occupy a space where material and spiritual interpenetrate, where brain mechanisms and transcendent realities both participate. Maybe asking whether angels exist objectively versus subjectively imposes false alternatives on phenomena that transcend this distinction. Angels might be understood as forms through which ultimate reality manifests to human consciousness, forms shaped by cultural religious frameworks yet pointing toward genuine transcendent dimensions of existence. When someone encounters an angel, perhaps they're experiencing something real that can't be reduced to either pure hallucination or literal physical being. Perhaps the encounter occurs at a level where consciousness touches transcendence, where the boundary between self and ultimate reality grows permeable, where divine care becomes experientially accessible in symbolic yet powerful forms. This view respects both skeptical concerns and believers' experiences. It acknowledges that cultural conditioning shapes mystical experiences while maintaining that these experiences access genuine spiritual dimensions of reality. It accepts neurological mechanisms while denying they fully explain experiences' meaning or validity. It recognizes psychological functions without reducing experiences to projections. It takes seriously both scientific investigation and spiritual wisdom, seeking synthesis rather than choosing sides. The practical significance of angels may ultimately matter more than abstract existence questions. What difference does believing in angels make for how we live? Guardian angel beliefs encourage people to act virtuously, knowing they're observed, provide comfort during loneliness and hardship, reduce anxiety through faith in protection, and cultivate gratitude for help received. Angel hierarchies teach that reality contains ordered levels of being, that creation manifests systematic divine governance, that ultimate reality can be approached through graduated levels of understanding. Archangels remind us that divine communication comes through specific channels, that God chooses particular means for particular messages, that revelation has structure and content, rather than being vague universal feeling. Fallen angels warn that knowledge doesn't guarantee virtue, that free will can choose evil even with understanding, that spiritual warfare requires vigilance and engagement. Whether angels exist as literal beings or powerful symbols, they convey truths about divine-human relationship, cosmic order, and spiritual realities that shape how believers navigate existence. Perhaps angels exist on multiple levels simultaneously as actual spiritual beings, as powerful archetypal symbols, as psychological mechanisms for processing transcendence, and as cultural constructs encoding spiritual wisdom. This multi-level existence wouldn't make them less real, but differently real than purely physical objects. Angels would inhabit a liminal space between objective and subjective, between material and spiritual, between literal and symbolic, which might be precisely where they belong, if they serve to bridge infinite divinity and finite humanity. The enduring persistence of angel beliefs across every culture and throughout history suggests they address something fundamental in human experience and need. Whether that something is objective, spiritual reality, psychological necessity, evolutionary adaptation, cultural construction, or some combination, angels have profoundly shaped human spirituality, art, culture, and individual lives for millennia. They continue to comfort the grieving, encourage the struggling, inspire the creative, and remind believers that existence contains more mystery than materialism admits. As we conclude this extended exploration of angels, their types, hierarchies, reported encounters, and the question of their existence, we return to where we began, the human experience of transcendence, protection, and divine communication. Angels represent humanity's intuition that we're not alone, that reality contains benevolent forces concerned with our welfare, that the gap between infinite and finite can be bridged. Whether this intuition reflects objective reality or represents a beautiful and adaptive human capacity for hope and meaning, angels have provided immeasurable comfort and inspiration to billions of people throughout history. For believers, may this exploration deepen understanding of the celestial hierarchies and strengthen faith in divine providence working through angelic ministries. For skeptics, may it illuminate why angel beliefs persist and what human needs they address, fostering compassion for those who find comfort in angel faith. For the uncertain, may it expand appreciation for this ancient aspect of human spirituality while respecting both faith and doubt. In the end, angels point beyond themselves to deeper truths, that consciousness reaches toward transcendence, that humans sense protective forces in existence, that reality may contain more than material perception reveals, that hope for divine care and cosmic meaning persists despite suffering and death. Whether angels literally exist as described in traditional theology matters less than what they represent: the human capacity to experience transcendence, the intuition that we're cherished by ultimate reality, the hope that good ultimately triumphs over evil, the faith that we're never truly alone. As you continue your own journey through life with its joys and sorrows, its moments of wonder and periods of doubt, may you remain open to experiences of transcendence in whatever form they come. May you feel protected in dangerous moments, guided through confusion, comforted in grief. Whether you attribute such experiences to guardian angels, unconscious intuition, cosmic providence, or simple fortune, may they bring you peace and hope, and may you, in turn, serve as an angel to others, bringing messages of hope, offering protection to the vulnerable, illuminating paths for the lost. For perhaps the most important truth angels teach is not that celestial beings watch over us, but that we are called to watch over each other, to be messengers of divine love, to guard and guide and comfort in our turn. In this way, the question of whether angels exist transforms into a call to embody angelic qualities ourselves, and in that embodiment, perhaps, we find the truest answer to the ancient question about celestial messengers and divine care. Thank you for joining this journey through angelology. Whether you believe in literal angels, understand them as psychological and cultural phenomena, or hold some more mysterious position, the study of angels illuminates profound aspects of human spirituality, psychology, and culture. If you found value here, consider subscribing for more explorations of humanity's spiritual traditions and enduring questions. But for now, rest. Perhaps tonight as you sleep, you'll sense a presence watching over you, whether guardian angel, unconscious mind, or simply the universe's benevolent attention. Sleep peacefully, knowing that humans have always sensed protective forces beyond themselves, and that sensing has brought comfort across millennia. Sweet dreams, fellow traveler.